Welcome back to Factorio and the Pyanodons modpack. We left off having just obtained our first electronic circuits, and in this episode I'll start off by working towards electric mining drills. I'll also cover the automation of some key items and round off by getting my first train. A quick note, my microphone is a bit flaky in some parts of this episode, so apologies for that. It'll be fixed in the next one. I've included a cool time-lapse later in this episode to soften the blow. Alright. If I want to research electric mining drills, I'm going to need the second science pack, confusingly called Pi Science Pack 1. And this requires glassware and basic substrate, and I was thinking, oh, that's all good, I have everything needed for the basic substrate and the glassware is just glass. Unfortunately, it needs these rubber stoppers, which needs latex, which needs latex slab. Sodium alginate is very easy, I have all the ingredients for that, but this creamy, and this creamy latex, but the formic acid only comes from caged Vrauks, or at least that's the only recipe I can access at the moment. And to get these you need to breed Vrauks from Vrauk cocoons, and to do that you have to go similar to some other Alienlife items. You have to first make them on a computer and then you can start breeding them. So in order to get to electric mining drills, I'm going to have to breed some Vrauks. So that's what I'm going to do. After much hand insertion and factory creation, you have to make a few of these rather expensive factories, and some of them require duralumin, more simple circuits, so that was a bit of chasing around ingredients and stuff, but finally got it made. This is a factory in which you make the Vrauks, everything in, and it's going to take quite a while. I will get the Vrauk and I'll set up the breeding probably down below here, keeping all of my Alienlife stuff on the right side, just extending it, adding new factories on the top and the bottom and extending them out to the right if I need more production. So here we have the Vrauks set up. They are currently going through the first phase of breeding, so 2 Vrauks in here, get these cocoons, and then the paddock, they gestate, they grow, and you get a random amount of Vrauks back. And the way that all the Alienlife buildings work is that they have module slots where you have to put in the animal or plant, which is pretty interesting. It means you start off really slow. I have 3 in here, and on the right you can see I only have a crafting speed of about 0.18, so it takes ages to craft, but once I get these Vrauks, I can keep filling up these module slots. It'll get faster, and then I can have more than one paddock going at a time. You can see in all the other ones you have all the slots filled, so it just makes it much more efficient. So there you go. And here we have the finished Vrauk farm. Something I really like about Pyanodons so far is that it forces you to build things in different ways to the base game. It's very different. I had to spend a fair while on this relatively simple setup. I have a loop around the middle because the paddocks output caged Vrauks, which the breeders need to output the cocoons, which go back into the breeders. And then I take an output here. You can see I have some here. All of the factories need water, so I have a little water thing in the middle. They exchange their barrels and get water. And there's different ingredients that they all need. I have them coming in from my other farms. And there's random little byproducts, cages that they go in, and I'm just recycling them up here. So yeah. Oh yeah. There's been a fair amount of time between those previous clips and this current one. I spent that time putting down miners, for the main resources, iron, copper, stone, and I have converted from simply smelting the raw ore into instead processing it. You get out these processed iron, and then they smelt for a better ratio. You get more iron plates per iron ore you put in. Still, it's 1 to 5 or something, so quite abysmal still, but it's definitely an improvement. And I've drawn some stuff up from all around the factory to start a main bus. I wasn't quite sure if this is what I wanted to do, but it just provides really easy organization. I do have a lot of belts going everywhere, and I'm going to be storing a lot of items on the belts, so that's one drawback. But without access to trains and with no desire to have my base be even more complicated than it needs to be, I've decided that I'll do this. Next on the list is to automate some intermediate items, create the first science again, and then finally automate the second science so we can get some more research done. There's a lot of stuff to do, plenty of quality of life and plenty of progress to be made there. Here we have a small setup for the first science pack. It is very slow, but because we don't have many resources coming in, there's not really much point in building it much bigger, and what research I need to do will be fine with this, and I can always expand it, bring these lines up and duplicate these, just put the soil on a separate line. So yeah, for the moment I think that will be good enough. And finally, I have everything that I need on the main bus in order to produce the second tier of science fully automatically. I believe every single one of these ingredients, including these 2 fluids here, is required for the science, and I'm really keen to get that up and running, especially because it gives me access to the burner. Because there are so many weird off products, and ash being the main one, you have 2 options. Either you recycle it all, centralized in this solid separator, it recycles into a few byproducts, but you have to deal with these byproducts, and it's just a lot of extra overhead, lots of extra stuff to deal with. It causes problems. I have this little overflow for the ash here when this line gets backed up, because I do need ash on the main bus, but it's really a lot to deal with, so I am planning just to stick all the extra ash into these burners. You basically get very little benefit from recycling it, so yeah, very keen to get that, and then keen to get pushing on towards trains. Just like that, in the blink of an eye, it's done. Well, of course it didn't take only an instant. There's a lot of machines to go on. I decided to stack them vertically like this, feed the outputs back up into the inputs, and there's lots and lots of stages, got materials coming in from everywhere. All of this is to make rubber stoppers to make these glasswares, and these all get fed all the way over here, and then we start a different manufacturing process going through here, coming up and making all of these things, until finally we combine the glassware, the basic substrate, into the science pack ones, or the second tier of science. Yes, so that's excellent. I will take these and start researching again, and yeah, get towards those things that I mentioned in the previous clip. But before we can do that, we have to fix our power problems. Might seem alright at the moment, but when I'm actually researching stuff, it really gets down to the 50-60% satisfaction range, and my main issue is that my power setup is not very expandable, mostly because of all the ash recycling that I'm doing, and this is technically worth it. The resources that you get. There's some iron output and then some random ores output, which I've been saving up. But in terms of complexity, it's really not worth it for me. And after unlocking the burner, I can just burn all the ash. I can replace the current setup that I have with just this little extra module here, and that will make it so I can expand in lines. And it's just going to be much less to think about. And that's really something that I'm going to start focusing on. The abstraction away of all of the more, well, not necessarily of the more complicated stuff, but of the things that I don't need to worry about. If I never need to worry about power again, I can spend my resources and energy on doing other things that get me closer to my end goal. So I will do a quick cut. It did look like this, and now it looks like this. So you can see a lot of the complexity has been removed, and I also gained a lot of resources back, especially splitters, which take simple circuit boards to produce, and I haven't automated those yet. That is next on the list, but I had to do power first. My power is apparently a little better, probably because I'm not using stuff. I'm going to copy out another row or two, and then I won't have to worry about power for quite a while. I do have to take a single ash line out of one of them, because that comes all the way down to feed my wood farm. There's a more efficient recipe for wood with ash. So yeah, I'm just going to keep that, and everything else is replaced by burners. They take in ash, they spit out sometimes ash, but I'm using Bob's adjustable inserters to put the ash straight back in there, and it all just burns away. Quick update on the main bus situation. I have the 3 types of coal that I've been working with. We have the raw coal, which you get out of the ground, processed coal, and coal coke. These are being made up here. Pretty simple. You get some off products, some byproducts, which are very useful. And nothing else has changed really. I put some required metals on the belt. I've just been passively making them, stockpiled a bit. And now I have everything on the main bus that I need to automate simple circuits. And finally, I will be able to make them in large quantities. Lots of the more efficient processes for resource generation require machines that take simple circuits, and I'm down to 4. So that has been a big thing. I also finished up researching railways. They are hopelessly complicated to make. They require a bunch of intermediate products and then these things called intermetallics, which are also hopelessly complicated to make. So that is where I'm heading, but simple circuits first. And simple circuits there shall be. I decided to try my hand at doing a time lapse. I had to convert my save into a replay enabled save. And all you have to do is save it as a scenario and then start a new game with that scenario as the baseline, and make sure you tick replay on. So I'm going to go build the simple circuits down here going on to the left, do a retroactive time lapse of it, and that is coming up right now. I hope you enjoyed that little time lapse. If you are looking to replicate what I did, I edited a version of the standard replay time lapse mod, or script, sorry. Just made it have a fixed area. I can put a paste bin to that down in the description. But as you can see, I have all the materials that I need rolling in. So let's connect it up and get out some circuits. Now, of course, I've done this in the last episode, but automating it, there's this huge array of machines, and I had to get some landfill to fill in the sea. But here we go. Automated circuits again. Very nice. I had 0 left. I had 1 splitter left. And that splitter required his, so really down to the wire, but I managed to pull all of these resources and machines together. Finally have a consistent supply of these, so I think to give you an idea of the time taken, I reckon I have about 80 hours in this save. 80 hours to automate green circuits. That really tells you how brutal this modpack is. It's really, really grindy. Most of that is, building up the research and technology, to be able to move away from some coal somewhere. Obviously, coal patch is going into a lot of places. Power, coal gas to this fuel that you need to make glass, a whole bunch of stuff. But moving to electric miners, getting more processed ores so I can get them more efficiently, bringing everything together on a bus, the Alienlife, buildings down here. There's a lot of complexity here, and yeah, so many buildings to pull together, so many resources. It feels like a major achievement, and I started to think how long the rest of the modpack would take, but there we go. With that out of the way, I can finally start working towards trains for real this time. This is the ingredients list. Most of this is very easy. It has some smaller components that I need to make, and the only things that I don't have is this special alloy and vitralloy, which is an alloy of even more things, and then they both combine to make intermetallics. And basically the only thing stopping me is this nexalate, which you get from processing industrial waste, basically. It's antimony, which you eventually get from these antimony fields. So I'm going to have to go all the way up here to get some antimony. Process all those, put them together, you get trains. That's what's next. Quick interlude to talk about secondary products. You always get a mix of 50-50 stone and this thing called kerogen from mining stone. And it's really annoying. I have just been shoving it into chests and expanding my chests when I run out of space. I reckon I've got 400,000 kerogen, something like that. And its only use is as a fuel, basically. You can turn it into some other stuff, but the only thing that's useful for me at the moment is fuel. And I finally decided to do something about it. I've replicated my power setup from up here and down here. Runs with kerogen. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to burn through all this, and I don't know whether it's going to be a good idea long term to switch from coal, as it is up there, to kerogen for power, but I was reaching my power cap. I was using about 80, at the moment it's down to 50, but I don't know why that is, but a bit of extra power is always nice. Getting rid of random byproducts you don't like is always nice. So that's good. Skip and jump in time. Actually didn't take me very long. I'm getting my first intermetallics, which is the gateway to a bunch more buildings, allowing for more efficient recipes, upgrading some of the Alienlife animals, and into trains. You can see that they directly require some intermetallics here. All this other stuff is... I should have the stuff on hand. Yeah, looks like it. So, and standing next to the remains of some unfortunate fish to get some fish oil so I can lubricate my gearboxes. I can finally build my first train if I can find where they are. Here we go. And just like that, we have one. Rails are significantly more expensive than they are in vanilla, so that's something else to deal with, but there we go. My first really big achievement when it comes to base layout. This has grown quite a lot. This intermediate section, this middle section, is very messy. I have things scattered around. I have too much space in some areas, not enough space in other areas. You can see this isn't keeping up. The only thing that saved me has been my pretty huge stockpile of copper that I have, carriage and storage, as I mentioned, and just a whole bunch of stuff. This area in particular is quite messy. So hopefully with the train I will be able to expand to a city block. I've had a look like on Reddit and stuff. People don't seem to have any issues with UPS. That's how fast the game runs. So that is my plan for the next episode. And just before I sign off for this episode, I just wanted to show you my 4 by, oh dear, how wide is this? 4 by 20 fileable tier 1 science setup. Lots of belts, adjustable inserters, which has been completely useless because I'm not getting basically any of the tier 2 science due to, even with this huge reading setup that I've been expanding off camera, it just hasn't been keeping up with this one particular resource. And so science has been crawling along at a abysmal pace. That being said, I am 1 research away from the tier 3 science, but I don't expect that to be the focus of the next episode. That will be expanding the base and setting up the city block design, or possibly even just designing the city block design. We'll see when I get there. But that is where this video ends. If you're still here, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to like and comment, and subscribe if you want to be notified about the 3rd episode whenever that releases. See ya.